morning, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute your audio. We'll start the session in 2 minutes, ma'am. Ready? Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, can we start the session? Ma'am, ma'am, please unmute your mic. Ma'am, we are unable to hear you, ma'am.
Good morning to all. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. It's my pleasure to welcome our Dean, Dr. Saguna, ma'am, and our Head of the Department, Dr. Judy Justin, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. I welcome our Chief Guest, Dr. Sasireka, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronic and Instrumentation Engineering, Kongu Engineering College. Welcome, ma'am. I welcome our faculty members from Biomedical Department and I welcome all the participants to this session. Welcome all. Now I hand over the session to Shirin.
A very good morning to one and all present here. It's my immense pleasure to introduce the chief guest of the day, Dr. M. Shashirega, Assistant Professor, Selection Grade, Department of Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering, Kongu Engineering of College, Perundurai, Erode. She has completed a UG in Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering at Annamalai University, Chidambaram, and a Master's in Applied Electronics at Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, and a PhD in Biomedical Signal Processing in Anna University. She has a teaching experience of 18 years in Congo Engineering College and has published around 17 papers in Scopus and has done many international and national conferences. And she has acquired a funded project worth rupees 13.1 lakhs at DST funded project. Thank you. Now I hand over the session to you, ma'am. Thank you.
A pleasant morning to one and all joined for this UGC Stride sponsored training program on environmental sustainability and research ethics. So I welcome you for this third day. So I'm going to handle the topic under the occupational hazards and the prevention measures. Okay. So I have, shall I present the screen? So I have selected this topic so that it relates to your uh, title, that is environmental sustainability and the research ethics, also healthcare. So I will be focusing on the healthcare aspects of this on this topic. So occupational hazards and the preventive measures. Normally now this is a major issue we are facing nowadays because occupational hazards. This is the working environmental, that is diseases due to the working environment. So that is called as the occupational hazards. So let us see what is meant by an occupational diseases. So occupational diseases, whatever we are having, depending upon our occupation, that is our work environment, either physically or chemical, we will be exposed to certain environmental conditions continuously, so that it creates some effects on our human body. Okay, so that will create some disease. So that disease we call it as the occupational diseases. So it may be exposure to physical, chemical, biological, or psychosocial factors at the work area. Okay, so hope you're clear with the occupational diseases. Whatever we are working in that surroundings, we will be having some disturbances, and knowingly or unknowingly, we will be affected by these environments. So that we call it as the occupational diseases. So there are totally 6 major types of workplace hazards. We will see one by one. So here I have categorized what are the hazards, what are the hazards that we will be facing, workplace hazards, and then we will see the effects of these hazards, and we will see the remedy. Okay, so I have categorized in these sections, right? And see, I have gone into my PPT, so I'm not able to see you. Suppose in case if there is any problem, just call me. Okay, intimate me. Am I audible to you first?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So first we will see what are the 6 hazards that has been the 6 categories that we have classified in the workplace. So first one is the physical hazard, next one is the chemical, third one is the biological hazards, and fourth one is the safety environment, not hazards actually. Then ergonomic risk factors, work organization hazards. We will see one by one. So first one is the physical hazards. Physical hazards, these are a continuous exposure of ultraviolet or a sun rays, or if you are extreme cold, if you are exposing yourself in extremely hot or cold uh, environment continuously, and then whether you are exposed to radiations or any type of radiation, it may be an ionizing radiation or a non-ionizing radiations, and if you are exposing to a loud noise. So physical factors, so these will not, you will not come in direct contact with these things, but it, you will be exposed to that without any direct contact. Okay, so for example, we can say that sunlight, you will farmers or the construction people involved in constructions, or those who are in the laying roads, so they will be exposed to extreme sunlight. Okay, so that will also create some problems like a stroke, sunstroke, or skin allergies. It will create. Okay, so that type of uh, exposures, or radiation means people working in the hospitals. So ionizing means X-rays, nuclear radiation. So people working in hospitals, they may be those who are taking X-rays, that type of radiation, they will be exposed to those radiation, even though they will be having some preventive measures. If they are not following that preventive measures properly, then they will be exposed to those radiation. So continuous exposure of those radiations, it may lead to some diseases. So not at the initial stage, but at the later, a longer period, if they are exposed to those things, then they definitely they will be affected by these things. Non-ionizing radiations like RF microwaves, and then electromagnetic field. So those things will come under the non-ionizing ultraviolet rays. So those things will come under the non-ionizing radiation. And continuously loud noise environment. People working in the mill, flour mill, or where they will be using in the in a கறி சொல்லுவோம் இல்லைங்களா, அது there they will, you will be having a loud noise will be there. So that type of loud noise, when they are continuously exposed to those things, then definitely there are they face the problem of they will face the hearing problem. Okay, so long term, if they are exposed to their long term, then definitely it may lead to deafness. So next one is the chemical hazards. This we can say that people working in the chemical industries or food processing industries, they will be exposed to, normally what we say is nearby is our Tirupur. So Tirupur chemical dyeing factories, they will be exposed to these chemical. If they are these chemical hazards, it will create harmful, very much, create greater damages of people who are allergic to, or if they are very sensitive to chemicals, then it will be severely affected. If they have good resistibility, then in case at that time this will have a lesser effects. Okay, so some of the difficulties that is what chemical hazards it will create is skin irritation, eye dryness, and then breathing difficulties. That depends upon. Suppose if they are exposed to dusty environment, then they may feel the breathing difficulties. So all these things they come under the textile industries. See for when they are using that uh, cotton material, no, so that the dust will be there. That if that is get into it, then they will have the breathing difficulty. If they are exposed to chemicals, it may lead to skin irritation. If it is not adaptable, if they are not adaptable to those chemicals, then eye dryness and other severe illness will occur. So these are the workplace, some of the things, cleaning products, solvents, acids, if they are stored in unmarked containers, okay, that means not closed containers, then they will be exposed to this. So this may cause some chemical effects, fumes and the vapors from solvents and the welding, and then flammable materials like petrol, diesel, if they are working in those areas, continuously exposing to those things, then it will affect them. And then helium, carbon monoxide, propane, acetylene, these are the gases that cause harmfulness to our human body. Third one is the biological hazards. So these are the biological hazards that spread through fungus or bacteria, mostly in the from the animals and the infectious plants. Okay, so people who are taking care of pet cats, or if they are involved in poultry, so many animals they are taking care of animals. You know, if they are mm, caring about dogs, then they will have these effects. Okay, the infection that that affects those pet animals or those other animal like poultry or any other any other animals or infectious plants. So that may be spread to the human. Okay, and the biological hazards also occur in those who are working in primary healthcare centers, nursing homes, hospitals, medical laboratories. So these are some of the places where you can get these biological diseases. And recently we have seen corona, and those people who are working in the hospitals, many doctors and nurses got affected because of this corona that is spread through the virus. Okay, so that we have experienced recently. So these are the common types of biological hazards. Insect bites, fungi, animal or bird droppings, bacteria and viruses, and harmful plant secretions, and then blood and other bodily fluids. So fourth one is safety. Safety, this includes, suppose if there is any spill on the workplace floors, if your floor is something has spilled, and if you are not taking care, and if you went pass through it, you may try to help. Okay, so and because of that, you may have um, some fractures and other things. Okay. And extension, if you are working in the if you have any cables running across the floor, then that is a dangerous situation. So then roofs or scaffolds or ladders or any other raised work area, painters normally we see people they will be painting a higher a larger buildings, multi-story buildings, so they will be hanging, so that is the risk factor. Okay, so and then if the moving in the industries, if the machineries they are not properly, they don't know how to handle those things, uh, heavy machineries that may affect. So these includes the safety hazards. Okay, if the safety is not properly followed, then they will be having these hazards. So these things. will be covered with that is improper cables, and then improper handling of machineries, heavy machineries, and then so in the field of instrumentation means we will see the boiler safety, and then unguarded machinery if it is not properly covered. Okay, so that and the properly improper wiring or overloading. So these are some of the safety hazards. Ergonomic hazards. Actually, these hazards which we are facing regularly. This is totally related with our occupational hazards, that is work environment. So normally we will be sitting, we will not sit straight. Okay, we will uh, we will be sitting in a as per our wish. We will be sitting, right? Whichever is comfortable for us, we will be sitting, like leaning or so continuously you may sit, or continuously you may stand, or we will be static. Whatever we do sitting in front of the computer. We spend many of that hours, and because of that improper position of our neck and the sitting position, we will be facing this hazards, okay, or diseases like neck pain or a spine problem and a hip ache. So like that we will be having no. So physical straining. You are doing some strain on a particular portion for a longer time. So that we call it as the ergonomic hazards. So if you are exposed to shorter duration for these hazards, this will be recovery. Our body will recover as after a few days. Okay, but if it is continuously done, then it creates some problem. So these are the ergonomic hazards. So sitting not in a proper, sitting on the chair in a improper position, and then lifting of a heavy objects frequently, and then if you are not giving a right movements and a repetitive movements also, and then a vibration. If you, some people they will shake their legs, so that type of vibration leads to nervous problem. Okay, and then poor posture and I think heavy objects I have told already. So using too much of a force for a particular task. So all these things, if it is repetitive and if you are repeating for a longer time, then this will definitely create the problem. So work organization hazards. So this is if you are not doing in an organized way. In even at home, we will be seeing that we will not keep the things in the proper appropriate places. But we will be in the morning tension. Everybody will be having no. So morning tension, we will be searching, getting ready, that we will do it at an earlier stage, but search for searching we will be spending much of the time because of the improper organization at home. So this will continue even in the office also. If the files or things are not proper in the properly organized way, then you will feel this hazards. So how this is affecting? This will create some stress, and because of the stress, you will be having several diseases. Okay. So these are the six occupational hazards, six categories of occupational hazards. And some more workplace hazards include heavy workload, workplace violence, respect or lack of it. Uh, that is, if no control or say in the workplace happenings means if you don't have the right to say or your feelings to anybody in the work area, then that will also create some stress. Okay, lack of social support and community at the workplace, no place for flexibility and sexual harassment. So these are some of the workplace hazards that we will be facing. So so we have seen the six categories of occupational disorders, and we will see what are the diseases that occur due to these occupational disorders or occupational hazards. One is varicosis, Another one is silicosis. I have listed only very few of the occupational disorders. They are plenty. Okay. So varicosis, silicosis, occupational deafness. If we are continuously exposed to louder noise, then that may create occupational deafness. You know what is varicosis? Silicosis is if the silica particles get into our body, that will occupy the lungs, and this will create damage in the lungs. Okay, that is silicosis. All these diseases we will see one by one at the later stage. So dermatitis, skin problems, then respiratory illness, breath-related problems, cancer, work-related musculoskeletal disorders, and ergonomics. We are concentrating on these things because this can be manageable. That is, if you do certain things, you can avoid this one, this type of hazard, occupational hazard. Stress and mental health as are infectious diseases. So these are some of the diseases that will be created due to this occupational hazards. Okay. So all these diseases we will see one by one at a later in elaborately uh, later. Okay. So first we will see how to prevent prevention of occupational disease. What are the methods that are there in preventing these occupational hazards? So first, what we have seen is what is meant by occupational hazards. Then we have seen what are the 6 categories of occupational hazards and the effects of these occupational hazards we have seen. And now we are going to see how to prevent these occupational diseases. So here I have shown one a triangle. So first one is elimination. Next one, this plays a major role, and then substitution, and then engineering controls, and a little of lesser than all these things is administrative controls, and the last one is PPE. PPE is personal protective equipment. Okay, so out of these first three plays a major role. So we are going to discuss about these things, and these are under our control, and these have less control. So we can let us consider the three major uh, measures. Okay, so first one is the elimination. Elimination means you are going to avoid that certain things. Okay, we are going to remove whichever is causing hazards. Those things we can eliminate. Okay, so that is the elimination of hazards in the workplace. So, for example, mm, if you are exposed to AC continuously, then you are having some breathing problem, right? So that can be avoided if you put off the AC. You can go in the normal way. Okay. So likewise, you can eliminate, you can avoid certain things. So that is the elimination of hazards in the workplace. So this image shows how the effect of asbestos. Asbestos pieces in the asbestos are making a place. Uh, the dust particles of the asbestos, they will be affecting the lungs. So on the right side, I have shown how the lungs got affected. That is, they got the particles affected the lungs. They get deposited on the lungs, making the lungs to not function properly. Okay. So this will lead to asbestosis disease or mesothelioma. Okay, mesothelioma is a disease that occur in the soft coverage of the any organs. Like heart is covered with the pericardium tissue, right? Tissue known as pericardium, periosteum. Okay, periosteum. Likewise, lungs they will be covering with the and all your muscles they will be having some layer. So those layer will be affected because of these deposits. Okay. And second example is if you are, if the people involved in the construction or if they are involved in the digging of anything, like foundation, construction means foundation, they will do foundation, they will be digging, and mines, they will be digging the sand particles. So when they are breathing these minor or minute sand particles, they will be getting into the lungs. Okay, so you can avoid those things by, if you can't avoid it, then you can go for substitution. Okay, substitution by alternative methods. So for asbestos, instead of asbestos, you can make use of the fiberglass, which does the same purpose. So thereby you can eliminate this one and you can substitute the other one. And the toluene, benzene, both of them will be causing a damage to our human body. Comparatively, benzene is more hazard when compared with toluene. So you can substitute this uh, toluene for benzene. But both have their own effects, but comparatively it is lesser. And then so instead of a silica, which will be having a more silica particles, it will create more dust. So you can go for the alternative for silica. And then noisy environment, you can have a shield or you can cover this noisy environment with a proper care. So replacing the manual car opener, can openers, that is continuously you will be lifting it, no? So that may create some problems in your hands. So that can be avoided by converting it into a automatic one. So third one is the engineering control measures. So first what we have seen is the elimination, then substitution, and third one is the engineering control measures. So in the case of engineering control measures, you will be having, you can devise, you can invent any device that will be doing the function, like how we have invented washing machine, and then we have invented a grinder. So in that way, you can go for any other devices that will do our body. So digging a hole, for that, you can do the machinery, and for asbestos, you can go for a closed environment, so the dust will not spread over the entire surface. Am I audible? Are you there? So I'll just check it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So then and there I will check it because I couldn't see you people. Okay, so enclosed materials, those which are infectious, then you can replace isolation method, and you can replace the employer with the machine. Okay. So under engineering control, you can cover or you can use enclosed machines, and then next one is isolation. You can be separated from that environment. That's the environment இருந்ததுன்னா அதுல இருந்து வெளியே வந்துடலாம். Okay. So if it is any heat sources means, then you have to isolate yourself from the heat, so that you can do some x-rays means you can cover your body with the x-ray shield clothes. And the sound means you can put a soundproof doors or glasses, so that it will not lead the sound outside the area, so that it will minimize the occupational deafness. And then isolating infectious patients. So same example we can take corona patients. They were isolated so that it will not spread to others easily. Okay, and we can treat only that patient alone, right? And this is infections that will be caused in the poultry. So suppose if any of the diseased hen or a chicken is there, then those can be isolated separately, and you will also be avoid going to those birds nearing those birds. Okay. So next method is, so these will come under the engineering method. So first one we have seen the isolation method. Next one is the wet method. Brooming may create some dust. So instead of that, you can wipe it out or you can wet and clean it. Okay, so that method we call it as the wet method. So that the smaller particles, it will settle down and it will not get into our lungs when we are breathing. So this is spraying water in construction sites. I don't know how many of you have seen nowadays people lorry which carries sand materials, they are pouring water onto it. So this will avoid the uh, sand particles to move on to the environment. Okay. So similar method. So that method we call it as the wet method. This is once again wet wiping method. So it will suppress the asbestos dust production and prevents workers from contracting asbestosis and mesothelioma diseases. So fourth one is the good ventilation system. So proper ventilation, if we are provided with the proper ventilation, then it will avoid the hazards, and it will, and also it makes the environment in a comfortable manner. Okay, so for example, we can see if you are uh, in a seminar hall in a closed environment for a longer period, and that will create some headaches. So if you breathe in the natural air for some time, your headache will be relieved. So such type of ventilation, that way, good ventilation system, it will create a good health. Okay. So here, this is the negative pressure ventilation system adopted in the isolation wards for infectious patients. So here we will be allowing the air in a passive manner, and the air will be forced in. Air will be taken in a slow manner, and it will be forcefully moved out. So thereby, negative air pressure will be created. And the proper exhaust systems, like for hot air chimneys, we will be using at kitchens, and we will be using a duct free for AC. So these are the things that will avoid you in getting those diseases, or if continuous exposure can be minimized. And proper exhaust gases. So this is a fiberglass toxic gas release. So through proper chimneys and exhaust fans, you are going to let it out, and you have to do the all the recycling process properly. So that will save the environment. So this is another picture indicating. This is another picture indicating the how people proper chimney, it will exhaust, it will suck all the fumes that is produced, so that the patient will be protected. Okay, so Now we have seen the hazards, and then we have seen how it can be prevented. There are three methods: elimination, isolation, and engineering aspects. And under engineering aspects, we have seen the other three factors. Okay. So next we will move on to the how this is going to affect our human body. Okay. So first we have seen what are the occupational disorders. So it will cause the disease. It may be the victim of the disease, and how to prevent it, and how to treat those disease using the biomedical instrumentation tools. So first disease we see is normally what we will have is varicosis. We are in the teaching profession, so we people we stand for a longer period. Okay, either you are in the class or you will be either we will be static always in a static manner. That is either we will stand for a long time or we will sit for a long time. Both causes some problem. So if you stand for a longer time, then you will get the varicosis. So varicosis now people most of the people they are having this because of their lifestyle. See what we do in our kitchen, we are when you compare with our previous generation people, they will have kitchen, they will have their stove at the bottom. Okay, they will sit and cook. But what we do is we are standing always. Okay, so since we are standing for a longer time, our blood circulation will not be proper, and this is leading to varicosis. Okay, so this is a you will have knots like appearance in the legs. So how it looks is a varicose veins. This will happen in the veins. So typically appears swollen and raised and have a bluish purple or red color. They are often painful. This condition is a common, especially in women, because we are doing in the we are standing in the kitchen, we are standing in the bus, and we are standing in the classes. So most of the time we spend in standing. Okay, and in the online classes we are spending most of the time in sitting, right? So around 25% of all adults have varicose veins, and mostly it appears in the lower legs. Why? That we will see now. So causes of varicose veins. So varicose veins occur when veins are not functioning properly. When veins have one-way valves that prevent blood from flowing backward. Okay. So proper blood circulation should be there. If the proper blood circulation is not there, then the veins will enlarge because the blood flow will not be proper. So blockage of the blood will be taking place so that it enlarges in its size. Okay, so this affects the lungs. Why it legs? Sorry, why it is happening only in the legs. Even if you are not moving your hand properly, you will have the pain. You cannot lift your hand. Your parents or your some of grandparents, they may have, uh, you might have seen them having, they couldn't lift their hands for a, uh, that is, they find difficulty in lifting their hands in the upward direction because they don't use it after a certain period of time. Initially, they will, when they are young, they will be using it for a larger period. They will be doing all the works, and after that, when they become older, they are resting. They are not giving that much movement to their hands, so they cannot lift it. But this varicosis, it is creating a problem. It is not occurring in the hand because hand is closer to your lungs. Even if you do some small movements, you can recover. But legs, they are far away from the heart. That is why it is happening in the legs. So blood circulation due to gravity, that is always blood will be flowing from top to bottom, right? Not from bottom to top. So bottom to top, if it is required to go means, then you have to do some proper functioning. So proper bending or proper movement in the leg should be there. Only then the blood will be circulated freely. Otherwise, the blood clot will be happening, and that is that if that blood clot happens in the veins, that leads to the varicose veins. Okay, so who are all the people that are mostly affected by this varicose diseases? Doctors, nurses, and the healthcare workers, factory workers, cashiers, and the retail workers, hairstylists and barbers, and the restaurant workers, flight attendants, and teachers. So all these people will spend their time mostly on standing. That is why we are having this problem. So why do these professions increase your varicose vein risk? So first one is lack of movement. Okay, we stand in a position and we will be talking for a longer time. So that is the lack of movement. Next one is, see, either you sit for a long time or you will be standing for a long time. So either sitting or standing for a long time increases the varicose veins. This is because staying in one position for a long time forces your veins to work harder to pump blood to the heart. Okay. So now I will show some video related with the varicose veins, how this varicose disease has been created. One second. One second. Is not coming properly. Kindly excuse me. Okay, I'm sharing this video. It is a 2 minutes video. You can see this.
As veins form.
Is the audio is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Varicose veins are swollen veins that are a blue or purple color. They show through the skin, usually on the legs and feet. Click the navigation arrows below the animation screen to play, pause, rewind, or fast forward the animation. The superficial veins lie below the surface of the skin. The deep veins pass through the deep tissues of the legs. They transport blood from the legs and feet back up towards the heart. The superficial and deep veins are connected by perforator veins. Here we show the position of the deep veins, superficial veins, and perforator veins in the leg. The deep veins run between the muscles of the legs. Contractions of these muscles, when you move your legs and ankles, help to squeeze the blood back up towards your heart. Veins also have valves that prevent the blood from flowing back towards your feet. Here we show a valve and the muscles around the vein. Varicose veins are thought to develop when the valves don't close properly. Here we show a valve in a superficial leg vein. If the valves don't work properly, the blood is able to flow backwards. Blood pools in the vein, causing the vein to stretch. This is called a varicose vein. Here we show a vein that has become varicose. Here we show a varicose vein in the lower leg. Varicose veins may cause symptoms such as aching, itchiness, or swelling of the ankles. However, often they don't cause any symptoms. The main problem is usually their appearance. This is the end of the animation. Click on the animation screen to watch it again.
So you might have seen how the varicose disease has been formed. So that is why people will be saying that how to you do walking, you go for walking, you go for jogging, or you move continuously after every half an hour or 1 hour. You go out of your place, even though you are sitting in front of the computer. Go to some other locations, have some walk or expose yourself to sunlight. So these things are because of this. You have to give some movement. Suppose if you want to sit continuously, then in that case, you fold your legs and sit, even if you are sitting in the chair. Okay, so that will reduce the clotting of blood in your legs. Okay, and if your parents, if your mother, or if they are continuously sitting, if you know that you need to sit for a longer time, in that case, you you need to stand for a longer time, then you can sit. Okay, sit and do the work. Okay, and even sitting also continuously you should not sit. Then and there you have to get up and sit up. Okay, you give some movement to your legs. So thereby, if you fold it, then only the blood will be circulated. So continuous folding that may increase the blood circulation. So which prevents the varicose vein. So what happens if varicose veins occurs? So what is the treatment for a varicosis? Okay, so that we will see in the next video. So now I will be presenting a video which shows the treatment for a varicose disease.
What is radiofrequency ablation treatment? Radiofrequency ablation treatment, or RFA, is a safe, proven medical procedure that not only treats the symptoms of varicose veins, but also treats the underlying condition that causes them. The outpatient procedure time is usually less than an hour and does not require hospitalization. While some discomfort may be experienced after treatment, typically the discomfort diminishes within a few days. The procedure is always performed under ultrasound guidance, giving the doctor a live view of your vein for accuracy and safety at all times. A guide wire is inserted into the vein with unhealthy valves. Then a sheath is inserted along the guide wire and fed through the vein. The guide wire is removed, and the doctor gently places a small radiofrequency fiber inside the sheath into the vein, and radio wave heat is delivered to heat and collapse the targeted vein. Once the vein is collapsed, it is eventually absorbed by your body. Afterward, the blood flow is diverted to healthy veins, improving circulation.
Okay. So now we will continue with our PPT. So one disease we have seen. So the treatment of varicose is with radio frequency. This is normally hitting that particular area, and then through radio frequency signals, radiations you are going to provide it. So you are going to heat that blocked area so that it will remove the bulginess as well as it will make the blood flow. So this requires a certain period, not at the first sitting. Slowly it will be, they will be giving radiations depending upon the nature of the disease, that is the depth of the disease, right? So next disease, so varicosis we have seen. So for to avoid varicosis, you make yourself not sitting too much in one place without disturbing the movement of your leg, and also uh, give movement to your legs properly. Okay, so standing and cooking for a longer time and standing for a longer period. Even in the classrooms, we can prevent it by walking and talking. Okay, and if you are sitting in the computer, you force yourself to move out of that place, and if you get something, you go for a walk and then come back to your position. Okay, so next one is silicosis. So silicosis is a deposition of silica material on your lungs. See the picture here. So this is how this picture shows how lungs are affected by the silica deposition. See, imagine our lungs
Your
are made.
slide is not visible, ma'am.
Slide is not visible. Okay. Okay, thank you. So here, see, is it visible now? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, see, our lungs are made up of very soft tissue. In that, silica, it is a manaloda tugal. Okay. So, that is going to settle down in your lungs. So, how the lungs will find it difficult to contract and expand, right? So, that is the movement of the lungs. Through that only, it is going to release the carbon dioxide and it is going to take absorb the oxygen. If that is not movable, then this is the problem. So this is the silicosis affected lungs. Okay. So which type of people will be having this? So people working in quarry and the people working in construction material, building construction. So these people will be commonly affected with these lung problems because of the minute particles. See the dust particles, they are breathing it, they are inhaling, and these silica particles got settled down in their lungs, their alveoli. So blocking the alveoli to for the air passage. So oxygen, it is going to convert the deoxygen. That is, it is going to absorb the oxygen, and it is going to release the carbon dioxide when we are breathe in and breathe out, right? So that process will be affected. So how this is going to affect? I'll show you another video indicating this silica exposure. Okay, how it is affecting our lungs. So this video explains how the silica particle is affecting our lungs.
Silica. It's one of the most common substances on Earth. It can be found in materials like sand and rock, and building products like concrete and brick. When a worker cuts, grinds, or drills materials that contain silica, dangerous crystalline silica dust is released into the air. As the worker breathes, silica crystals flow into his mouth and nose and down the air passages deep into the lungs. The tiny crystals enter the small, fragile air sacs, where oxygen is absorbed into the blood. Immune system cells, called macrophages, engulf and try to dissolve the crystals, but they are unable to. Over time, more and more crystals build up inside the macrophage cells. The macrophages carry the silica into the walls of the lung, where they die. Scar tissue forms around the dead cells and spreads as more cells die. This damage can continue even after the exposure to silica stops. Eventually, so much scar tissue forms that the lungs can no longer function. For information on how to protect yourself from silica exposure, visit worksafebc.com.
So you might have seen so how this soft tissues is handling with the rough materials. Okay, so we are spoiling. Not only this is silica, other dust particles, asbestosis. It is a deposition of asbestos fibers. Okay, so this will be. So this is how we are giving we are giving torture to our biological system. So how to prevent this? So we have seen how does it affect us, and if you want to prevent this, how to prevent. So you have to work in an enclosed material, enclosed, so rock crushing, everything done in a closed material or a closed equipment, you can say. Okay, so this is our part, the technology part. So this technology, we the engineers, we have to construct or we have to invent a device making this. So this is invented by one engineer, and with this he can prevent or he can avoid. If he can isolate, one can isolate people working in the dusty environment. They can isolate themselves. So you'll be having rock pressures, the dust particles, everything will be settled inside this machine. Okay. So this is our research area. We have to do some research process in making the environment free and sustainable, right? Hope I have a link with the topic. So treatment is, there is one treatment is removing the silicosis, but that is very um, highly dangerous. Okay, so that is if you leave your system free of a silica material, automatically there is a doctor inside our body, no? So he will try to recover the system. But if it is exposed, if the exposure is a larger, and the doctor cannot help. The doctor present inside our body, sitting inside our body, cannot help us. Okay, so if it is lighter manner, then automatically our body itself try to eliminate these silica particles, and that is the only. Other one is operation, so that is very dangerous. So next one is the occupational deafness. Continuously exposed to a louder noise, that will create a occupational deafness. Okay, so people who are working in the flour mill or working in the textile industries where they will be having the noise continuously, then that will affect our disease. Nowadays, for our people, that is for us, we are continuously using this headphones, and we are hearing with a louder noise, right? So that will also cause a damage to our eardrum. Okay, that may lead to deafness. So this is related with the occupational deafness. So we can say that occupational deafness we have seen for the past 2 years. We are continuously wearing our headphones, and we are continuously sitting in the online classes. Either student or faculty, both of them, they are affected by the occupational. That is a, they may have some problem. If we are continuously doing this for several years, then definitely we will also have this occupational deafness, right? So this is related with this one. So excessive noise and the autotoxic chemicals. Autotoxic means, auto means ear, toxic means poisonous. So that is some chemicals we will be putting into our ears if you have some pain. So only eye drops and ear drops, you have to be very choosy, and it should be prescribed by the doctor. You cannot go to the pharmacist and get that one, because it may affect our eardrum. Okay, and it may lead to deafness. So ear poisonous chemicals. So that is, we call it as a autotoxic chemicals. Okay. So what are the causes of occupational hearing loss? So this we call it as OHL. So occupational hearing loss can occur when workers are exposed to loud noise or autotoxic chemicals. So what type of a noise? So if your noise level, if your sound level, if you are exposed to greater than 85 decibels or even higher continuously, then it will affect our it may lead to hearing loss. Okay, and if you are talking louder, that will also leads to hearing loss. Okay, so normally people working in mines, they will be having this disease. So textile, printing, sawmills, mining, these are the major areas. People working in these areas where they will be exposed to excessive noise they may have this occupational hearing loss. Okay. So by the study carried out by the National Institute of Occupational Health, they have showed that sound pressure levels are very high in most of the industries in India. So these are the decibel ranges. So industries, we will textile industries, we will be having 102 to 114, and then pharmaceutical firms, we will be having decibel 93 to 103. Fertilizer plants, it produces 90 to 102. So like that, we have different noise levels. So metro rate 70 to 111, and then air traffic 90 to 112. So these are some of the studies carried out by the National Institute of Occupational Health, and they have mentioned this one. So how to prevent it? Prevention is only you can put soundproof doors and windows to avoid the employees suffering from these occupational deafness. So how your hearing loss occurs when on continuous exposure of loud noise. So that I will show in a video. So we will move on to the video. So next we will have two videos indicating how hearing loss occurs and how the hearing aid helps in improving our hearing ability. Okay, now you can see how hearing loss occurs.
As just explained, the process needed to hear is complex and can be interrupted at any point during this process. When you are overexposed to noise, the hair cells in your ear become overstimulated. And once the hair cells are overstimulated, they become paralyzed and stop responding to sound. After a period of quiet, your hair cells will recover. However, repeated exposure to excessive noise over time will kill these hair cells and they lose their ability to recover. This can result in permanent noise-induced hearing loss. The major deterioration of hearing occurs during the first 5 to 10 years of employment in a noise-risk environment. As you can see, the hair cells of the cochlea on the left are of a person with normal hearing, and the one on the right shows the permanent damage overexposure to noise can cause. If we use our earlier example of seagrass moving with the action of waves in the ocean, we can demonstrate the impact of excessive noise on the cochlear hair cells. Initially, when large waves move over the seagrass bends with the waves, but recovers its position once the wave has passed. After repeated exposure to large waves, the attachments of the seagrass weaken and eventually the seagrass will break off. This is exactly what happens to the hair cells in your ear with repeated exposure to loud noise.
Okay, so this is how your earbuds are affected, right? So next video we will see how does the hearing aids work.
Hearing aids are small electronic devices that amplify sound. While they can't restore normal hearing, hearing aids can help you hear better by making certain sounds louder in both quiet and noisy situations. Hearing aids come in several styles that fit in or on your ear in different ways, including behind the ear, in the canal, and completely in the canal. While the style may vary, all hearing aids have the same basic parts: a microphone, amplifier, speaker, and battery. Here's how they work. First, the microphone picks up sounds from the environment. Then a computer chip with an amplifier converts the sound waves into electrical signals. It analyzes and adjusts the sounds based on your hearing loss and the level of other sounds around you. These amplified signals are then converted back into sound waves and delivered to your ear through the speaker. In this way, hearing aids can improve your hearing and speech comprehension if your hearing loss is caused by damage to the sensory cells in your inner ear. The greater the damage to these cells, the more severe your hearing loss will be, and the more amplification you will need from a hearing aid in order to compensate. If you think you might have hearing loss, talk to your doctor.
So even if you are using the hearing aid, it cannot, it can improve the hearing ability, but it is not that natural way. So avoid using headphones for a longer duration. Even I'm wearing it, but only for this class I'm wearing. But after that, I will not wear it. I will not. I am not used to that hearing aids. Okay. So simply your children or younger people now they are started using because of this online class. They have they are using this continuously. Okay. So and we are also allowing them. So try to uh, avoid them by using these hearing aids. Okay. Unnecessarily. Instead, you can give some speaker arrangement, and now it is not a big issue. But even then, now also some people are continuously using the hearing aids, so we can avoid it. And that too for younger people, definitely we must avoid it because at their older age, it will have the effects. So next one is the uh, most important one, work-related musculoskeletal disorders and ergonomics. Okay. Is my slides are visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So musculoskeletal disorders. So these are the injuries or disorders of the muscles or nerves or tendons or joints or a spinal disc, which you are doing some continuous, if you are giving work to them continuously for these joints or muscles, if you continuously give work to them, that will also make it worse. Okay, so மூமெண்டே கொடுக்கலனாலும் நமக்கு வேரிகோசிஸ் வருது கண்டினியூஸா மூவ்மெண்ட் கொடுத்தீங்கனாலும் we will have the musculoskeletal disorders, right? So we have to we should not strain much or we should not be idle. So that is both we have to manage both the things, right? So first disease we have seen varicosis without doing any movement, leaving it idle for a longer time. This one, leaving more work, because of this, we are having the disease. So this condition becomes worse or persists longer due to work conditions. Okay. So why this is occurring? Because of the three types of injuries. One is muscle injury, tendon injury, and the third one is the nerve injury. So what are the symptoms of this one? So beginning stage, we have pain and tiredness in that particular area. Okay, particular limb or in your hand, you will be having the pain in that, in any of the area where you are giving more stress to that area. Okay. And the intermediate stage is aching and tiredness occur early in the work shift and persist at night. Okay, morning நல்லா இருக்கும், evening ஆனா ரொம்ப பெயினா இருக்கும். Okay, this I think most of us we will be feeling when we are in a college, we don't feel anything. That is, we don't find pain. But when you go to your bed, at that time, all the pains will come. Okay. So that is the intermediate stage, and late stages, aching, fatigue, and weakness persist at rest. So inability to sleep and perform light duties. So these are the symptoms of this disease. So how these diseases are get um, treated? Okay. So the treatment of a WMSD involves several approaches. One is restriction of movement, application of heat or cold. So either heat or ice hot water we will get. So that is the application, and exercise, medication, and surgery. That is the last stage. So preventive measures. So this is the correct sitting pose. The picture shown here, this is the correct sitting pose when you are working. And see here, your knee should be at 90 degrees and your neck and shoulder should be at 90 degrees. So that is the right way of sitting. So mostly we don't follow this. We will sit as per our convenience, and later we are suffering. So if you don't want to suffer at the later stage, then you have to do all these preventive measures. So you have to adjust the height of the working surfaces and reduce long reaches and awkward positions, and put work supplies and equipment within comfortable reach. Uh, Everything should be handy, okay? And provide right tool handle for the worker, and vary task for workers. Rotation job, not doing night shift alone or not doing the morning shift alone. So you can give the task for workers in a shift manner. So encourage short rest breaks, reduce the weight and size of the items workers must lift, provide mechanical lifting equipment, replace telephone handsets with headsets anywhere they are used frequently, and then ergonomic chairs and stools you have to provide, and anti-fatigue floor mats we can supply, and then you can reduce or eliminate vibrations and sharp edges. So how to sit? So this is another video, sitting properly to avoid this ergonomic problem. Okay, hope you might have seen what is the correct positions. So try to change your lifestyle by adopting these things. Okay, difficult, easy to advise, but difficult to follow. But if you want to live a healthy life, then definitely you have to follow this. And this one, so sinusitis of hand and forearm. This is another type of disease, uh, ergonomic disease that we will be having by continuously moving our fingers. See how you have this, how it has been affected, right? So this part, this happens mainly due to the excessive movements. அளவுக்கு மீறி நம்ம வந்து ஒர்க் கொடுத்துக்கிட்டே இருந்தோம்னா then the tendons of the muscles and the tendons of the above parts which result in traumatic inflammation of the tendons or tendon sheath. Okay, so இது யாருக்கெல்லாம் வரும்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா mostly it will affect the carpenters, computer operators, construction workers, and then typers, writers, sports people, heavy machinery or vibrating equipment, roofers. So these people will often get. So we are also involved in this because even though you know many of the languages or MATLAB programming, everything, but you need to sit in front of the computer for a longer time. Okay. நமக்கு ஒர்க் முடியறது தெரியாது, ரசிக்கிறது தெரியாது. We will not bother about anything. Our aim will be to complete that work. Okay, so for every half an hour, not only you go for cycling, but also you have to cycling தான் போகணும்னு இல்ல, you move out, go for a little walk and then come back. Okay, so that we have to practice it. And then when you are typing also, continuously don't type for a longer duration. After typing, you relax your muscles and fingers, and you don't hold the position of the mouse or a keyboard. You give some movements to your hands so that you can avoid this type of risk. Okay. So occupational dermatitis. So for these diseases, I have gone in depth. I'll just give some introduction to other diseases. So dermatitis, it is a skin disorder. So if you continuously contact with any of the chemical products, that will damage your skin. So that we call it as a occupational dermatitis. So this come under contact type, and it occurs to the workers who is continuously working with these chemicals. Okay. So if the research has indicated that 10 years after the condition first occurs, up to 50% affected workers will have some skin problems. So what is contact irritant dermatitis? It is a chemical product that damages the skin. So that is known as which creates some irritations. So that we call it as the irritant. And a highly irritant substance is known as corrosive. Irritant dermatitis makes up to 80% of the contact dermatitis. The other 20% is allergy, due to allergy. Next one, cancer. So if you are exposure to carcinogenic agents in the workplace, then you will be having the cancer. So asbestos deposition or ultraviolet rays radiation continuously, if you are exposed to this or X-rays, then it may lead to cancer. So painter and aluminum industries, people working in aluminum industries or shift working pattern of behavior is changing. No? So that will also create cancer. Day shift, night shift, the mari continuous பண்ணும்போது they will also have the cancer. And this one, stress and mental health disorders. So this will create all sorts of problems. We cannot இதெல்லாம் இதுவரைக்கும் நம்ம பார்த்ததெல்லாம் சொல்லலாம். இது கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல உட்காந்தீங்கன்னா கை வலி வரும், கையில அந்த ஃபிங்கர்ஸ்ல லிம்ஸ்ல எல்லாம் டேமேஜ் ஆகும், ஸ்கின் இரிட்டேஷன் ஆகும், அதெல்லாம் சொல்லலாம். பட் this stress and the mental health disorders, we cannot predict. Only these diseases will come if you have stress and mental health disorders. So stress, if you, our colleague, she got irritation, she got some pimples, okay, face full of pimples, and the doctor told that it is due to stress, not to any other allergies. Can you imagine a skin disease, that pimples, aggravated pimples, that is due to stress? So this is very, very dangerous one, and it is easily recovered. Okay, that is in your hand. You can manage your stress, and you can have a good mental health disorder. So don't everything take it in your mind. Um, to live your life in a cool manner, that will reduce the stress. So this stress is a negative working environment. So work is good for mental health, but a negative working environment can lead to physical and mental health problems. So depression and anxiety have a significant economic impact. Harassment and bullying at work are commonly reported problems and can have a substantial adverse impact on mental health. So mainly these have effective actions in the organization. So unless the organization gives a mental health in the workplace, you will not get benefit productivity. Okay. So, but this stress level, it is in your hand. Okay. So gradual practice of this type of stress, if you have a good balance of stress, then automatically your health will be benefited. Okay. But this can be practiced. So this stress, it may lead to any disorder, but it is, if you have a control over your stress, then it will not affect you in any way. Okay. So I think I have come to the end of the session. So conclusion. So doctors prescribe medicine to save his patients, and the engineers develop technology to save the entire human community. What I mean here is, affected, those who are, doctors can give treatment only after the disease affected them. Okay. So நம்ம பார்த்ததுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அந்த சிலிகாசிஸ் டிசீஸ் வந்ததுன்னா அதுக்கு என்ன ட்ரீட்மெண்ட், சிலதெல்லாம் ட்ரீட்மெண்ட்டே கிடையாது. ஓகே. ஸோ வேரிகோசிஸ் பெயின் வந்ததுன்னா நீங்க வந்து அந்த இது பண்ணலாம். ஸோ அந்த வேரிகோசிஸ் வராம தடுத்துக்கிறதுக்கு நீங்க எதாவது பண்ணலாம். அப்ப டஸ்ட் அலர்ஜி அதுக்கெல்லாம் வந்து நீங்க ப்ராப்பர் இன்ஜினியர்ஸ் தான் ஒரு க்ளோஸ்டு ஒரு டிவைஸ் வந்து ரெடி பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ இன்ஜினியர் கையில தான் இருக்குது டெக்னாலஜி ஒரு இது. ஸோ அதை வச்சு அவங்க வந்து என்டையர் ஹியூமன் கம்யூனிட்டி, இப்போ அந்த ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் ஏரியால ஒர்க் பண்ற பீப்புள் எல்லாருமே அதனால they will be benefited. They will not have that disease. So they will be prevented from these hazards. So that is the point. Technology not only cure, so preventive and also it will cure, not only cure but also prevent from hazards. So it will avoid the situation. Okay. So always prevention is better than cure. So have a good life and change your lifestyle so that it will not harm you anyway. Okay. So and make you yourself healthy life. So that's all from my side. Thank you all for patient listening. And if you have any queries, you can ask me.
Dear participants, if you have any query, please ask.
No any queries, ma'am.
Okay then. Is time is okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Our heartfelt thanks for your valuable presentation on this environmental sustainability and research ethics, ma'am. It really enrich our students' knowledge. Thank you for your great support. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Participants, please fill the feedback form in the chat box.